Two of the best mid-tier travel credit cards have all-time high 100,000 point welcome offers, making it an incredible time to get either of the Chase Sapphire Preferred or the Capital One Venture. Or both, frankly, which is what I would do if I were eligible for these welcome offers. However, if just one's good for now, the differences between these two cards may make one a better fit for certain situations and the other a better fit for other situations. Of course, if you significantly value something that's on the CSP and not the venture, say Hyatt as a transfer partner, that might alone be enough to make you go with the CSP. And so, I'm not just going to review what each card has and doesn't have. Instead, let me share which card is better in terms of three main categories. 1. How and how much you travel. 2. Complexity versus simplicity. And 3. Timing. With these ways of comparing the two cards, I think you'll have a much clearer picture about which card is more suitable for you. It's nerdy credit card topics that get talked about on this channel a lot, so if you like the sound of that, consider subscribing. How and how much you travel. Let's get the following out of the way first. If you won't be taking flights, renting cars, or going to hotels, then you're probably better off with an option that's not the CSP or the venture, say a 2% unlimited no annual fee card such as the Citi Double Cash. Even more so the case, of course, if you won't be traveling. These are, after all, travel cards. In terms of earning multipliers for flights, hotels, and car rentals, the CSP and the venture are more or less equals. 5x points on these things when booking through the respective travel portals, and 2x on all other travel, except the CSP also has the 10% anniversary bonus points, effectively making the multipliers 5.1x and 2.1x respectively. Narrow is finished by the CSP. Beyond the multipliers, it's worth talking about flights, hotels, and car rentals separately. For flights, ultimate reward points on the CSP can be redeemed for 1.25 cents per point through the travel portal or by transferring to one of Chase's 11 airline transfer partners. Capital One miles on the venture can be redeemed for 1 cent per point through the travel portal or by reimbursing travel purchases made on the card, as well as by transferring to one of Capital One's 14 airline transfer partners. Because of the 25% point boost on the Chase travel portal, the CSP is generally a better option if you fly a good amount, especially if it's on economy. Also, the CSP is superior in terms of its travel-related protections, such as lost and delayed baggage insurance. However, if you fly a lot, the TSA PreCheck global entry credit on the venture may move the needle towards its favor, as cumulatively over time, you'll be saving a lot of time fast-tracking through airport security. The venture may also be preferable for flights if you prefer one of Capital One's transfer partners that Chase doesn't have. For example, Turkish Airlines for that sweet redemption on United Economy flights for just 10,000 miles. That said, overall for flying, I'd still go with the CSP. Moving on to hotels, the same argument regarding the 25% portal boost can be used to put the CSP over the venture. Make that double when you consider the $50 annual hotel credit on the Chase travel portal that is on the CSP. As for hotel transfer partners, Chase has 3 and Capital One has 3, which are completely different. Again, it depends too much on the individual to compare these transfer partners. Finally, on car rentals, the gap between the CSP and the venture is much smaller, given that the venture offers Hertz 5-star status, while the CSP doesn't offer any car rental status. All in all, the CSP beats the venture in terms of hotels by a pretty wide margin and a much smaller margin when it comes to flights and car rentals. Next up, is the CSP a more complex card than the venture or vice versa? On the basis of the benefits and the redemption options, I'd say that the CSP is the more complex card. Its $50 hotel benefit and DoorDash benefits, including complimentary Dash Pass access and $10 a month on non-restaurant DoorDash orders, require some thought and management to use. You need to choose your specific hotel and non-restaurant DoorDash order, and you might need to compare prices versus other platforms. On the other hand, the venture's TSA PreCheck and global entry credit is very much a set it and forget it benefit, and also there's no tough choices to be made between the two because global entry is strictly better than TSA PreCheck. Then, on redemptions, I think the only methods that are worth considering on the venture are transfer partners, travel portal at 1 cent per point, reimbursement of travel purchases at 1 cent per point, and maybe discounted gift cards. The CSP, on the contrary, has a few more options. Again, 1.25 cents per point when booking through the travel portal, and 1 cent per point cashback isn't a bad fallback option in case you end up not having any travel plans. This makes the CSP a more complex card because when you're given more viable options, it makes the decision-making process more complex. What can we say then when we compare the two sets of multipliers on the cards? In addition to the travel multipliers that we already went through, the CSP also offers 3x on dining, online groceries, select streaming services, and 1x on everything else. Again, add 0.1x to each of these after reflecting the 10% anniversary bonus points. On the other hand, the Venture is just 5x on the travel portal and 2x on everything else. No doubt if you're using the Venture as your primary or only spending card, then there's very little to think about. 2x on everything outside the portal. Whereas on the CSP, you need to consider whether you're consistently spending enough on those bonus categories to justify it over the multipliers on the Venture. Then again, if you're a person of routine, maybe it doesn't require any effort in order to nail down your spending patterns, at least roughly. Point being, you may not see any difference in complexity between the multipliers on the two cards if you know you're spending well enough. I think there's just one aspect on the Venture that makes it a more complex card compared to the CSP. We're talking about the welcome offers, where I mentioned both having all-time high 100,000 point offers, though this won't be the case if you just looked at the public offers through the website. It is for Chase and also through referral links, 100,000 points for spending $5,000 in 3 months. However, for the Venture, it's 75,000 miles plus $250 travel portal credit for spending $4,000 in 3 months. You need to go through specific referral links in order to find the 100,000 miles for $5,000 to spend in 3 months. Since you need to choose between two different offers, and if you're interested in the 100K offer, then you need to still find the appropriate link, the Venture has the more complex welcome offer. Let's also discuss the welcome offer from a timing perspective, and by that I mean, is it a better time now to get the offer on the CSP or the Venture? Yes, both are all-time high offers, and so neither is a bad decision. But if I had to pick one, I would consider this. The regular offer on the CSP is for 60,000 points, whereas the regular offer on the Venture is for 75,000 miles. The increase from the regular offer is more on the CSP. Also, we've seen CSP offers before for 75,000 points and for 80,000 points, and so this 100,000 point offer, being only the second ever time that we've seen it, is extremely powerful and quite rare. Again, you can't go wrong with either welcome offer, but if you're trying to strategize around the timing of your welcome offers, then I would go with the CSP because its extent of being elevated is larger than that on the Venture. You can also think about timing as it pertains to your credit card journey. Specifically, how many cards do you already have? Because of something called the Chase 524 rule, where Chase will deny your new credit card application if you've had 5 or more personal credit cards in the last 24 months, Chase cards like the CSP are generally good options for beginners. When over time you've acquired more credit cards, you're at greater risk of Chase 524, which would rule you out of something like the CSP. Unfortunately, Capital One is also restrictive in its own way. While their application rules are less clear-cut than Chase's, in general they do prefer people with fewer credit cards. That said, narrowly still Chase as the better beginner option, and in terms of an advanced option, honestly, either can be great, primarily for the welcome offers, but also for the transfer partner access and other benefits. And there we have it. Chase Sapphire Preferred versus Capital One Venture X based on 3 main categories. 1. How and how much you travel. 2. Simplicity versus complexity. And 3. Timing. The Venture is the simpler card aside from its current welcome offer, and the CSP wins out in the other categories. I'll still go with the CSP as the overall better card, but when you consider specifics of the individual such as transfer partner preferences and preferences of the benefits, then the ultimate answer is always going to be your mileage may vary. Comment below on which card you prefer and if you managed to get on one of these awesome welcome offers. Also check out these videos on screen which get into the big sibling cards of the CSP and Venture, being the Chase Sapphire Reserve and Capital One Venture X. Here's your card nerd signing off, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.